Remember when Brett Yormark said the Big 12 wasn't going to go down the private equity road? Like that road was shut off for right now. This happened very, very recently, right? It was not that long ago. But I'm going to say it again. In the words of Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. Not so fast, my friend. And hey, if you're really worried about where this all ultimately leads, because, hey, private equity, they can take ownership of the conference, they can really strip it for parts and leave it left for dead. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by this segment. Okay. So just stay tuned there. If you're somebody that has a lot of concern about what would happen if the Big 12 does indulge in private equity and just college sports in general, for that matter. Like, I understand why it's scary. I understand why you don't like it. Majority of the stories that we hear about private equity are very negative, that they do strip things for parts. There's no actual care for, what's there, what's been built. It's just all about extracting as much money as you can while you can and however you can. And that it would be a terrible thing to open Pandora's box like that. I'm not here to tell you it's a good thing that it is involved in the college athletic space already, or at least coming very, very close to being really officially involved in the college athletic space. I'm not saying that's a good thing at all. I'm not saying I like that at all. I am saying it appears to be the reality, unfortunately, folks. It appears to be the reality of where we're at, because the SEC is talking to Goldman Sachs, reported by Ross Dellinger. The Big Ten, even before the SEC reports came out, they have been meeting with multiple different private equity partners here. Like, it is coming. Nobody has taken that first step yet. But when these things are getting reported, and with everything happening in college athletics and how much money drives everything, and how much more money people need to come up with now, schools need to come up with now in light of revenue sharing, guys, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Now, there's been a little bit of premature reporting on this, like the UCLA Penn State. It was like reported very briefly last week that they had actually officially hopped on board with a private equity partner. And it turned out that was more like, I think they were, the entity was helping with like ticketing, and that got misconstrued as like that they were a private equity partner with them. So it maybe not quite as far down that road as it looked like at one point last week, but it's still, all the indications are that it is coming. And this is why the Big 12 for like a year now has been at least exploring this topic, because they don't want to fall behind. Like, the message here is, do you want to adapt to the reality, or do you want to fall behind? And if the answer is, hey, I just don't want a college sports world where private equity is involved, like, that's fine. And you can get off the train and not worry about it. But the train is moving forward, and like, that's what it's going to be. And that's kind of been my choice in this whole thing. I don't like a lot of stuff that's happening in college sports, but I can either get off the train, or I can still try to get enjoyment out of whatever the new system is, give it a shot, see what happens. That's basically where I'm at. But if you are somebody that didn't want the Big 12 to open up the private equity door, you were happy last week, no doubt, when Front Office Sports did an interview with Brett Yormark at Big 12 spring meetings. And these are the quotes where he said right now, Big 12 is not going down the private equity road. He said, quote, "We explored all that. We did it probably for the better part of the year. We're not ready to go in that direction, but we know what the options are out there. We've been educated at the highest levels." When he was pushed a little bit more as to like, why would you not do it now? He said, quote, "The board's not ready right now. And there's probably lots of reasons for that. There are so many different things going on right now, but I think we're well informed." Okay. When I read those quotes, I had some people like texting me like, "Oh man, like, whoa, that's kind of a bombshell, right? Big 12 not going to do private equity." To me, it was pretty And I don't even think I brought it up as a separate topic here on the show, because to me, it was just like, well, yeah, I mean, like right now, okay, so like right this second, they're not going to do it. Yeah, sure, fine. But that's going to change at some point, because that bottle of toothpaste is open. It's out of the tube. People are like, conferences are meeting with private equity. Schools are meeting with private equity. Someone's going to make that move at some point. If I know anything about college athletics and what is driving everything in the sport, it's going to happen. And then you'll have to follow suit, or you'll fall way too far behind. So yeah, like, okay, maybe for right now, you can't get the presidents on board with that, but it will happen eventually. And after listening to what Brett Yormark said, on this podcast, again, the Triple Option Podcast with the Fox crew, I am very, very convicted in saying that. Very, very convicted. So here's Brett Yormark with a little bit more on the future of the Big 12 and private equity, namely that he already knows who the partner would be if and when it is that they're going to do it.
To the extent that I could identify, and I did, a strategic partner who also brings capital when we might or might not need it, to me was the right fit. We've pressed pause on that right now, but we've done enough due diligence to understand that if there was a moment in time where we wanted to go down a particular path, we know exactly where to go.
So there you go. Brett Yormark knows exactly what they would do. And that's how, like, if the answer was, hey, the Big 12 is just passing on this, you're not going to do it, why would you already have that lined up? Why would you already have everything all ready to go? All you need to do is say the word, hit the button. We have all the information. We've met with the partner. We've done all this vetting. You wouldn't go through that work if it wasn't something you felt like you were going to do eventually. Brett Yormark's got a lot on his plate. You know, I heard him saying that in another part of the interview, like, yeah, there's just so much going on right now. It's crazy. And we have to be up on all of it. When you've got all that on your plate, you wouldn't go out of your way to put extra work on your plate about private equity if you weren't going to pull the trigger on that sometime. This is a guy that's a forward thinker. That's going to happen, guys. I'm just here to tell I'm here to tell you that that's going to happen. And listening to something like that made me feel much, much more convicted that it was going to happen. Okay, let's see. Yes, there is one more quote here on the private equity front from Brett Yormark. And let's see. Oh, yes. For those of you who are concerned, I forgot. I have not assuaged your concerns, right? If you are somebody that's not a fan of private equity in the Big 12, you're all worked up now. John, you're telling me this is going to happen no matter what. And Yormark seems like, boy, all right, he's got this all lined up. He's ready to go. If you are concerned about somebody coming in, stripping the conference for parts and all that, let me just share this with you to hopefully assuage some of those fears. Brett Yormark says he's not going to legitimately like sell a piece of the conference off.
Do we bring a strategic partner in that can help us grow our revenue, that brings strategic expertise in the right areas, while also serving as a capital partner if and when we need it? Okay. So I was looking at it a little differently because I didn't want to give anyone a stake in our conference. I'm very bullish on the future, and I don't want to give up any of our upside because we're in the growth mode right now. And I think the future is really bright for us. And I don't want to share that with any third party.
Some of the early reporting surrounding the Big 12 and private equity was with some of that in mind, right? It was around the idea that the Big 12 could be selling off. Like, I'm trying to remember what that specific number was, 15%, 20% stake in the conference. And this is now Brett Yormark saying, hey, don't panic. Don't freak out. That's not what we're going to do. He believes so much in the upside of the conference. He doesn't want it tied to like, hey, you're going to get X percent of whatever the league is or whatever we make moving forward, because I think that's going to be a hell of a lot of money. So apparently he's exploring different avenues. Now, if you come back and say to me, John, how exactly does that work? All I know is that there's been talk of difference between private capital and private equity. And I know there are different ways to do it. I am a guy with a comms degree from a state school. I don't have a big finance degree from an Ivy League or something like that. So I don't know exactly how that goes. But Brett Yormark at least is trying to reassure you there. It's not going to be like every school is selling a stake in their athletic department, and if things start going south, the private equity firm would like have the legal rights to start cutting sports and things like that. That was some of the panic I saw from people early on when private equity became a conversation here. Brett Yormark is trying to tell you that that's not going to be something that will be an issue. Now, I guess you could say, hey, I don't trust him. Well, fine. That's your prerogative. But that at least is what he is saying right now. So I don't think this is over, man. I think right now, if nobody else has done it, I think the reason you're seeing Yormark with a quote like, yeah, right now we're tabling it, because no one else is doing it. And university presidents are going to be a really tough sell on private equity. That's, good luck getting them to sign off on it. The way you can is if it's like a pressure point, like, oh man, like, hey, see, the SEC and the Big Ten, they're doing it. They're already way ahead of us. You want them to be way, way ahead of us and lose athletics as a real front door to your university because you just can't compete at all, then don't sign on the dotted line here. But we got to do this now. That's what it's going to take. So I guess if you want to say it doesn't look like the Big 12 will be the first conference to go get in bed with private equity or private capital. Yeah, it does kind of seem like that. But I still think that it is going to happen. I at least am going to give him some credit with that quote. Like, it seems like he's taking a pretty measured approach with that and has an idea of like, hey, we're not going to just open this door to anybody who will be able to run roughshod in here, depending on what happens with the future of the league. So anyway, some thoughts on what Brett Yormark had to say about private equity there.